Welcome back to the Grim Workshop. Today we're going to be learning the fire cheat code. We're going to be taking the Hot Shot card and some items that you normally would be carrying with you anyway, and we're going to make some char cloth. The Hot Shot card is one of my favorite cards. With the magnesium bar and the ferrocerium rod, I'm able to get a fire in nearly any conditions. But to save a lot of wear and tear on my ferrocerium rod and that magnesium bar, it's a lot easier to carry or make in the field some char cloth. To make char cloth, you're going to need a piece of 100% cotton fabric. Now, the shamags that I normally carry with me are all 100% cotton, so this is a great option. I don't carry shamags on a daily basis. In that case, I'm more likely to have just a cotton bandana. That's going to work just as well. In a wilderness survival kit, I will have just an orange piece of fabric like this, and this one's not even hemmed. I've had this one for years. This works really well for signaling in an emergency. I can mark camp with this if I'm doing any type of navigation and want to mark my spot before I walk off of the known trail. This is a great option to have, and if you choose wisely and get one that's 100% cotton, you're going to be able to make char cloth with your signaling cloth as well. For this demonstration, I've got a 100% cotton towel here. So I'm just going to cut up some pieces of this. Another item that works really well if you're practicing this skill around the house is going to be denim. Denim or a cotton bath towel works absolutely wonderfully. To turn the cotton cloth into char cloth, we're going to need to superheat it, but starve it of oxygen. So the best way to do that is going to be to put it in a metal container of some kind. Now, a single wall metal water bottle like this is kind of my go-to. This has a ton of purposes, and this is why I always carry one in my kit. That's going to work fine, but I'm a big fan of pocket survival kits. And most of the time when I do that, I go with a metal tin of some type. Now, any of these Grim tins are really going to work perfectly. This is the standard size tin, and this has a hinged lid. So this works great. I can get the skinnier version with a sliding lid. This is going to work just as well. If I wanted to go small, and I didn't have a lot of room in my kit, they have the small dog tag size. So I don't screw up my really cool looking tin. I'm going to switch over and just use our standard Altoids tin for this video. If I was in the field, I would absolutely use this in a heartbeat, but it's just not going to look quite as cool when I'm done with it. Now, the critical thing with this or any of the tins that I've shown before is they all pivot open or slide open. So what that does is I've got small gaps here where the hinges are, and that's going to let the gases that are going to be created when we create char cloth, it's going to let those gases escape the tin. Now, you see a lot of people online, they're going to grab a tin like this and they're going to take their knife and they're going to drill a hole in it. And that's okay. That doesn't cause any harm, but with a tin that hinges like this, it's just not needed. If I was to go with a larger tin, this slides on and off. So there is no hinge with this. When this is sealed down, there is no places for the gases to escape. The gases are going to build up and they actually just pop the lid off no matter how tight it fits. So if you're using a tin that does not have a hinge and it's got a friction fit slide on lid like this, then you're going to have to take the point of your knife or an awl or any other tools off of your survival cards and just make a small hole right in the middle of the tin. So I'm cutting these in about 1-inch squares, more or less. Now, I know some people have pretty good luck rolling them, and I've never really done that before, so I figured I'd give it a try on this video. But obviously, the inside of this is not going to char at the same rate. So it kind of gives me a couple different options. But you're just going to want to pack this tin pretty tight. You don't need to get silly with it, but since you're making a batch of cloth, go ahead and fill the tin all the way up. So once you've got your tin full, let's close up the lid and make a fire. So now we're just going to make sure the lid's closed tight, and we're just going to throw it right in the fire. So right now you can see the white smoke escaping from that tin, and it's actually flammable. You can see it burn. When that white smoke is done, that means your char is completely cooked. This is the most important part of making char cloth here. You have to be patient. You could do all this work, you could have premium materials, you could let it completely char through, take it off and just want to take a peek at it. And as soon as that air rushes in, if this is still warm at all, it's going to burn up, and then that char is no good. So you need to let this get completely ice cold. Let's pop it open here and take a look at it. All right, looks good. So what you want to see is a dark color all the way through. You don't want to see any of the original fabric. So if this was a white towel, you put it in and you still see pieces of white around the outside edges or in the center. That's not what you want. At that point, if this is cool and you haven't burned it up, you can just put it back in and re-char that same material. Now here's that piece I rolled up. And this worked. This is completely charred all the way through. Now let me show you how this works and why this is so important. So to prove that we've got good char cloth, we're just going to take our ferro rod and we're just going to give it just a little nick. And that is exactly what char cloth does. It takes an ember and it holds this ember for you. Now that doesn't seem impressive to you, but when you have to light a bird's nest like this, that is where char cloth really comes into play. There you go.